Hello everyone, it's Arkovu again, and I'm just really excited to be making this video. This is of Karazhan, specifically the one in Legion. The Return of Karazhan is what it is called, and I've got a tool here that's going to let us kind of just explore the whole dungeon, and as you can see, I do have a way of turning off clipping, or not clipping, culling, and this allows me to see into all of the rooms. These are usually unloaded. You're not supposed to see the rooms like this. And I'm kind of just going over slowly so you can get a good view of all the rooms and all the boss rooms you fight through. And make sure you stay towards the end because it does get a little crazy and wonky with Karazhan, as you probably already know. But to see it behind the scenes, it's just amazing. I thought this was pretty neat. I never really noticed it before. As you can see, we're flying above the opera room. And then this is the final room that you go through before you get sent over to a different part of Karazhan, as you see over there in the distance. As you can see, the tower is missing a good chunk of it. So we're heading to the final room that you will end up entering. As you can see, nothing in the tower. There's no smiley face under the tower, by the way. And this is where you fight the boss, the Curator, as you can see here. The portal's supposed to be right there. It's not in this. But I'll be showing you the next map over, because there are technically 3 maps, and this is just its own kind of world. And Karazhan kind of sends you throughout the different maps. And I did this cool little shot here, just for fun. With me being a demon hunter, I have to go out of bounds every chance I get. So here's that. And then you fall right into one of those rooms that I showed you. Pretty cool. Here's kind of a more overhead shot, and I put the mini-map on the top left. Some of the little extra buildings and things like that don't show up on that map. So I'm guessing this is an older map that they just ported over. And then they kind of unloaded some of those other world objects. But we're going to be heading north into the second kind of stage to Karazhan. As you can see, this massive building, as you can see here on the map, on the top left, that's what you're looking at. It's just kind of stacked, and that's why you see like that Mickey Mouse ear effect on the right of the map. These are those 2 like yellowish green rooms. And we're going to fly up above, and there's actual land up here, which you don't even see. But just for scale, I mean, this is normal player scaled terrain, and you can see where Darkshire was. The fountain's gone, all the buildings are ripped out. I thought this was really cool. And I've kind of sped this part up a little bit. And you see this whole mess of stuff happening, which we'll get a little deeper into. But you see that massive room down there, and you probably already know what that's going to be, but just look at it in this scale and comparing it to this entire landmass above it. It's like the same size. It's huge. And here's this room that you actually enter once you get past the Creator boss, which I'll actually show a clip of how to, of where you actually come from to get here. But seeing this room in this angle I thought was pretty interesting. And it's all upside down, of course. And you do eventually fall down that, which I will show you in just a second. And some of this here is kind of me finding my way through, trying to find the actual entrance to this room. It's right over there. Here's the shot of me getting through, and I put there again on the top right. That's the entrance from the outside view, and there's the curator I was talking about. So once you kill it, that portal summons in, that wall breaks apart, and then Medivh's just talking to his creation. So once that's been defeated, you go ahead and walk on through. And we were on the first map, and now we're on the second map, which had the big giant room underneath. And there's that portal again. And this is just me walking through it in-game, just to kind of show you how it's intended to be seen. I didn't really bother walking through the first part of Karazhan in-game, where I recorded it. I just didn't want to put it in. It's not very exciting. It's just, there's just rooms, there's no special effects or anything happening. But this room and the rooms next were a lot more interesting. So this is really what you're meant to see. It looks insane. And this room coming up is where we actually fight the Shade of Medivh. And he's talking about how ever since the beginning, he was destined to be, bitter fruit, so to speak. Being corrupted by Sargeras because he was born from Aegwynn is his mom. And mom was corrupted by Sargeras, so when she gave birth to him, he was also corrupted. And this window is kind of cool. You zoom through, and you see the outside, so I'm guessing maybe they thought you could see the outside, possibly, from this window, but you really can't. I'm not really sure why the outside is included. If I had to guess, it's for scaling. They wanted to scale that against the real world, right? And I'm about to jump down so you can see how this looks, how it's intended to be seen first. And this is us falling into that massive room that we saw a second ago. And you see how slow you fall, and eventually you'll see how long it takes you to run around the place, and it's just because it's so massive. And I guess, again, I mean, if you look on the top right, that whole landmass, I would imagine it was for scale to kind of match, like, just for size, right? How fast you run relative to the game space. And before we jump down there to kill that mana worm boss, we're going to look outside of this whole area first, just to kind of see just a better angle of what's going on. And I love that I can actually see through the outer walls into the building. It makes for a really cool shot. And you can see all the lighting effects too, which is awesome. That's why I love this tool so much. And you can see up top, there's a little tornado that you kind of siphon down through. And you'll notice too, there's this little tree down here. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe it was for scaling inside the building. You'll see me kind of zoom in on it because I thought it was kind of funny. It's like a little broccoli sitting there. And you will see exactly where this tree is. It's right there. This is in the massive room. It's not in the little room, I don't think. I doubt it would be. But it's just kind of sitting there. I thought it was kind of funny. And that's the upper level anyway, so you'll never see that in-game, ever. And again, that's just the top-down view of the hole that we just jumped down into. Just a different angle of it from the outside. And there's also the Horde equivalent to Honor Hold in Blasted Lands right here. I forget the name. That's just like the main hub for the Horde in Blasted Lands. I thought this shot was really cool. It's thumbnail worthy, I would say. So we're going to be heading north again, and I'm going to show you what the full map looks like right here. And you can see how much space there is between each part of the whole map. It takes forever just to fly over there. So we're flying into the final stage of Karazhan, and I'll show you how you end up over here as well. And there's something you may not expect over there. You might actually get a sneak peek of it, but if you look at the ship on the top of the map on the bottom right of my screen here, under that ship, there's the little chamber, the small version of it, the real scaled down version for your player character to exist in. And it's kind of hard to see, but it's right there. It's very small. Look at it. It's like the smallest thing on the entire map. And you can see big room in the top right of my screen, and then on the bottom left, in the middle of that big circle, you see the scaled down version of it. You see it, both of them in the same shot. I thought this was so cool. Being able to see both rooms in the same shot was just really incredible. And you can see the Tower of Karazhan also between the rock and the bubble. And we have the nether, or the twisting nether, skybox that we just entered into. And you notice the ships are not there. I'm not really sure why. Maybe they only render in-game. So we're just going to kind of fly in through the small room, and we'll kind of show like a transition of us actually being in there. But I like this shot a lot. You see the Tower of Karazhan in the middle. You got the little chamber here and one in the far off in the distance. So we're going to enter the bottom level. And transitioning to in-game, we're going to head and jump down, and we're going to kill the Mana Worm boss. So right now, we are in the second or middle map of the whole dungeon. We're still in the big room, of course, so we're regular size characters. Running normal speed, we're the normal size. We're just in this massive room. Our character does grow, and we get ported into this map here, which is the final one that we just flown through over the void. We're going to go through this twisting tunnel here into that big bubble that we saw a second ago. And there it is. And you really just take a right, you go straight out through to get to the chest room. There's kind of a lot more to this area. Like, you can go through these other rooms that you don't normally go through. If I had to guess, maybe that's from the original Karazhan raid from Burning Crusade. And this is one of those rooms because it does look very familiar. So I'm guessing it's just the destroyed version of one of the original rooms from the TBC Karazhan raid. But of course we run up to head to the chest room. And you kind of get a cool angle from up here. And this is... you can see the bridge kind of floating around in a tunnel, as you see there in the distance. And you'll see, once we kill these bosses, the bridge does put itself back together. So it's like an actual animated part of all of this. So you kill the bosses, and you can see the bridge building itself there, which I think is really interesting. And then we're just going to run over the bridge as it's intended. So this is kind of what you see in game, how you're really supposed to see it. You see Medivh's bed there off in the distance to the left, and another room to the right. I'll get closer looks at those here in just a second too. And then we see the real Medivh. He's still alive. Here we go, just flying through the tunnel, just from a different perspective. The bridge does not build itself here, because the boss didn't die, so I guess it didn't react. Also, I'm pretty sure, with Karazhan, it is built on a landline on Azeroth. And the Legion returning to Azeroth find that Karazhan is a good place to summon more demons. And Medivh recognizes that, so he wants to basically cut that connection off from the Legion, and that's why we come back. And here's Medivh's bed again. Just kind of funny thinking that whatever happened here, his bedroom got destroyed, and his bed's just floating off in space. And something else I'm about to show here in a minute, or in just a second, is the Tower of Karazhan's right here as well, from the outside. I find that interesting because it's literally the first map we see it, we're there in it, and now it's here again, and we can see it from the outside. And I'll float down towards the bottom because I realize it's kind of like curved towards the bottom. It's like warped, which I find very interesting. I'm not sure if that's to show off just maybe for perspective, or if that's the idea, like, oh, it's supposed to look warped because reality is literally warping around you. But I found it pretty cool. And just seeing things from these weird angles that you're just not supposed to see things from, it's awesome. I like seeing that kind of stuff. So after dissecting this whole thing, we're going to go right back through where Medivh and Khadgar were just speaking to each other. And this is where we head out to kill the final boss of the dungeon. So because I'm a current character, this is old content, of course you one-shot the boss, but when you're fighting the boss, you do end up teleporting on top of that ship above him. But I'll come up and go ahead and kill him here. I do like the correlation here of the grand design and this monster being like this eyeball kind of brain creature type of thing. It really reminds me of Baldur's Gate 3. The grand design, the absolute, there's some similarities there. I thought it was very interesting. The whole concept of the Legion and the absolute and that whole storyline. I like the parallels. But here's this giant rock. We're going to zoom out and see the whole thing. We are where the ships would usually be. And of course, without culling, you can see all the stuff you're not supposed to see left to the rock. But yeah, I thought it'd be very interesting to kind of show you a fully animated Karazhan with no culling and just being able to see the whole place with almost unlimited view distance. And I tried escaping to get out of bounds, and I did die. And then I resurrect in the small room. We're still in the same map, of course. But I hope you enjoyed the video as much as I did making it, And thank you for checking out, and if you made it this far, thank you so much. Like, subscribe, leave a comment. And if there's another place y'all want to see in this way, please let me know. Thanks.